They said a woman could never be a real sniper. Then she became the deadliest marksman in military history, and they tried to destroy her for it. Staff Sergeant Maya Rodriguez lay motionless on the rocky hillside, her eye focused through the scope of her Barrett M82 rifle. 2,000 meters away, the enemy compound buzzed with activity. At 27, Maya held the record for most confirmed kills in her unit. 147 enemy combatants eliminated with surgical precision. But her male teammates didn't see a decorated sniper when they looked at her. They saw a threat to their pride, a woman succeeding in their domain. What they didn't know was that Maya had been documenting every act of sabotage, every accidental equipment failure, every time they left her without backup. Today's mission in Afghanistan would be different. Today, she would prove that the deadliest weapon on any battlefield isn't always the one with the biggest caliber. NTHE mission briefing had been clear. Eliminate high-value targets at a Taliban meeting. Intelligence suggested 5 commanders would be present. Maya's spotter, Corporal Jake Stevens, had forgotten to bring the backup radio batteries. Her rifle scope had mysteriously developed a slight calibration error overnight. Her ghillie suit had been accidentally doused with diesel fuel, making stealth nearly impossible. These weren't coincidences. They were sabotage. But Maya had learned to adapt, to overcome, to excel, despite every obstacle her male colleagues placed in her path. Have you ever been so good at something that others tried to tear you down instead of celebrating your success? Maya lived this reality every single day, but she was about to turn their sabotage into her greatest advantage. Contact, 5 tangos in the compound, Stevens whispered into his radio, feeding information to their commanding officer. But Maya could see 7 targets through her scope, not 5. Stevens was deliberately providing incomplete intelligence, setting up the mission for partial failure. Maya made a split-second decision that would change everything. She would complete the full mission regardless of official orders and document every act of betrayal along the way. Maya adjusted her scope manually, compensating for the sabotaged calibration. Her breathing slowed, heart rate dropped to 50 beats per minute. The first target appeared in her crosshairs, Ahmad Hassan, Regional Taliban Commander. Range, 847 meters. Wind speed, 12 knots from the southwest. Maya calculated the trajectory in her head, a skill that had made her legendary among snipers worldwide. But as she prepared to fire, Stevens made a mistake that nearly cost her the shot. "Abort! Abort! Civilian in the area!" Stevens suddenly shouted, knowing that Maya's shot was perfectly clear. Through her scope, Maya could see no civilians, only the 5 confirmed targets and 2 additional commanders that Stevens had failed to report. This was the moment Maya realized the sabotage wasn't just about making her fail. It was about making her appear incompetent to justify removing her from sniper duty permanently. Maya keyed her personal radio, the one Stevens didn't know about. Overwatch 1 to command, "I have 7 confirmed high-value targets, not 5. Request permission to engage all targets." The response crackled through her earpiece. "Negative, Overwatch 1. Proceed with original 5 targets only." But Maya had recorded Stevens' false civilian warning, and she knew command was receiving deliberately incomplete information. NTHE first shot rang out. 847 meters. Direct hit. Ahmad Hassan eliminated. Stevens cursed under his breath. He hadn't expected Maya to overcome the scope sabotage so quickly. "Lucky shot," he muttered. But Maya was already acquiring the second target. Her training kicked in. Breathe, aim, squeeze, follow through. The .50 caliber round traveled for nearly 3 seconds before finding its mark. Target 2 eliminated. Stevens reluctantly confirmed the kills to command, but Maya could hear the frustration in his voice. And as Maya lined up her third shot, Stevens made his move. He accidentally knocked over their camouflage net, exposing their position to enemy sentries. "Sorry, Maya. Clumsy mistake," he said with a smirk. But Maya had anticipated this too. She had prepared 3 different firing positions and smoothly transitioned to her backup location while Stevens scrambled to fix his mistake. The enemy spotted the compromised position and began firing, but Maya was already 50 meters away, setting up for shots 3 through 7. From her new position, Maya could see something that made her blood run cold. Stevens was using a mirror to signal the enemy compound. He wasn't just sabotaging her mission, he was actively helping the enemy locate American positions. This went beyond jealousy or sexism. This was treason. Maya realized that every mission she'd been on with Stevens had resulted in unexplained enemy knowledge of their location. How many American soldiers had died because of his betrayal? Maya faced an impossible choice: complete her sniper mission and risk Stevens alerting the enemy to her new position, or confront Stevens and abandon the targets who would escape to kill more Americans later. She made a decision that would haunt her forever. She would eliminate all 7 targets first, then deal with Stevens. But as she acquired Target 3, Stevens made a radio call that changed everything. "Command, we're taking heavy fire. Overwatch 1 is compromised and requesting immediate extraction." Stevens lied into his radio. Maya heard the transmission and realized Stevens was trying to abort the mission while claiming she was under attack. Through her scope, she could see the enemy commanders preparing to evacuate. She had minutes before they disappeared forever, taking their plans for future attacks against American forces with them. Target 3, Rashid al-Mahmoud, bomb maker responsible for 12 IED attacks. Range: 2, 100 meters, moving target. Maya led the target by 6 feet, calculating his walking speed and direction. The shot was perfect. 1 more commander eliminated. Stevens was now frantically packing equipment, claiming they needed to evacuate immediately. But Maya knew the truth. There was no enemy fire directed at their position. Stevens was manufacturing a crisis to explain his deliberate mission failure. As Maya prepared for Target 4, her earpiece crackled with a transmission that made her heart stop. "All sniper teams, be advised. Overwatch 1 team is KIA. Repeat, Rodriguez and Stevens are confirmed KIA." Someone was reporting them as killed in action while they were still alive and operational. Maya realized this was bigger than Stevens' individual betrayal. This was a coordinated effort to eliminate her permanently and blame it on enemy action. Maya switched to an emergency frequency she'd never used before. "Any station, any station. This is Overwatch 1 actual. We are alive and operational. Previous KIA report is false. Repeat, we are not dead." The response chilled her to the bone. "Unknown station. Cease transmission. No Overwatch 1 team is currently deployed in your sector." They were being erased from official records in real time while still in the field. Stevens had stopped pretending. "Sorry, Maya, orders are orders. Nothing personal, but you've become too much of a problem." He was reaching for his sidearm when Maya made the fastest decision of her life. Without taking her eye from the scope, she pivoted the rifle towards Stevens. "Don't move, Corporal. I have 4 more targets to eliminate, and now you're going to help me do it properly." Stevens froze with his hand on his pistol. Maya had him perfectly targeted at point-blank range with a .50 caliber rifle. "You're making a huge mistake, Rodriguez. You have no idea how deep this goes." Maya's response was ice cold. "Then you're going to explain it to me, right after I finish my mission." She swung the rifle back toward the compound, where targets 4, 5, 6, and 7 were still visible and moving. And Target 4 was the easiest shot Maya had ever taken. The Taliban commander was standing in an open doorway, completely stationary, range 1, 950 meters. But as Maya squeezed the trigger, Stevens shouted, "Now!" into his radio. Immediately, the compound erupted in smoke grenades. Someone had been waiting for Stevens' signal to provide concealment for the remaining targets. The conspiracy included enemy collaborators who were coordinating directly with American military personnel. Maya's shot went wide due to Stevens' distraction, but she quickly reacquired the target through the dissipating smoke. The .50 caliber round found its mark despite the interference. Target 4 eliminated. But now Maya knew she was fighting on 2 fronts, against the enemy targets in the compound and against the American soldiers trying to sabotage her mission from within. "Stevens, you have 30 seconds to explain who else is involved before I put you down as an enemy combatant," Maya said, her voice deadly calm. Stevens laughed nervously. "You think this is just about you? This is about maintaining unit cohesion. Female snipers are bad for morale. Command needs you to fail so they can prove women don't belong in combat roles." Maya felt rage building in her chest, but her training kept her focused on the remaining targets. Targets 5 and 6 appeared in her scope simultaneously. The compound was now in chaos, with Taliban fighters running between buildings. Maya had to make 2 shots in rapid succession before they could take cover permanently. First shot, 200 meters, moving target, partial concealment. The bullet traced a perfect arc through the thin mountain air. Target 5 eliminated. Immediately, Maya worked the bolt action and swung to target 6. Range 800 meters. Target diving for cover. Maya had a 1-second window before he disappeared behind a concrete wall. NTHE 6th shot was the most difficult of Maya's career. The target was mid-dive, partially concealed, extreme range, with Stevens still holding a radio and capable of warning the enemy at any moment. Maya controlled her breathing, ignored Stevens' presence, and trusted her training completely. The shot was perfect. Target 6 eliminated with 1 round while the target was airborne and diving for cover. It was the kind of shot that would become legendary in sniper circles if anyone lived to tell the story. Stevens was now openly hostile. "Command, this is Bravo 7. Rodriguez has gone rogue. She's engaging targets without authorization and threatening American personnel. Request immediate airstrike on our position." Maya couldn't believe what she was hearing. Stevens was calling in an airstrike on their own position to eliminate her and cover up the conspiracy. She had to finish Target 7 and escape before American bombs started falling on her head. And Target 7 was the most important. Colonel Abdul Razik, the Taliban regional commander responsible for coordinating attacks across 3 provinces. Maya could see him through the scope, directing the evacuation of the compound. He was the one target that absolutely could not escape. But Stevens was now actively fighting her, trying to grab the rifle while she aimed. Maya had seconds before Razik disappeared forever, and an unknown amount of time before American aircraft arrived to kill her. Maya made a decision that would define her legacy. She punched Stevens unconscious with her non-firing hand while maintaining perfect sight picture on Target 7. Stevens dropped instantly, his radio clattering across the rocks. Maya was now completely alone, cut off from all support, declared KIA by her own command, with enemy targets 2,000 meters away and American airstrikes incoming. But she still had 1 shot left to make. And Target 7, Colonel Abdul Razik, was moving toward a waiting vehicle. Maya's window was closing rapidly. Range 2,050 meters. Moving target. Wind shifting to 15 knots from the east. Target aware of sniper threat and taking evasive action. This was the shot that would either vindicate her career or end her life when the airstrike arrived. Maya's breathing slowed to almost nothing. Her heart rate dropped below resting. Time seemed to stop as she applied pressure to the trigger. NTHE .50 caliber round left the barrel at 800 feet per second. For 3 seconds, Maya's entire career hung in the balance as the bullet traced its path through the thin mountain air. The round struck Colonel Abdul Razik's center mass just as he reached the vehicle door. Target 7 eliminated. Mission complete. 7 high-value targets neutralized by 1 American female sniper, despite systematic sabotage and active betrayal by her own team. And Maya immediately began packing her equipment. Stevens was still unconscious, but she could hear aircraft engines in the distance. The airstrike would arrive in minutes, targeting coordinates that Stevens had provided. Maya had to evacuate Stevens and herself before American bombs killed them both. Despite his betrayal, she couldn't leave an American soldier to die, even one who had tried to have her murdered. And Maya dragged Stevens' unconscious body 500 meters from their original position, moving toward the extraction point she had memorized during mission planning. Her radio crackled with transmissions. Airstrike actual, targeting grid 4 to 7 Alpha. Danger close, danger close. All friendly personnel clear the area. Maya was still 200 meters from the minimum safe distance when the first bombs began falling on her former position. NTHE airstrike hit empty rocks. Maya and Stevens were clear, but barely. As Stevens regained consciousness, Maya had her sidearm pointed at his chest. "You're going to call in our extraction, and you're going to tell command that all 7 targets were eliminated successfully. Then you're going to explain who else is involved in this conspiracy." Stevens looked at her with a mixture of fear and grudging respect. You don't understand, Maya. This goes all the way to the Pentagon. Female snipers are being systematically removed from all combat units. Maya's radio suddenly crackled with a new voice. Overwatch 1. This is Colonel Patricia Martinez, Pentagon Inspector General. Your mission performance has been monitored via satellite. We have recorded evidence of sabotage and conspiracy. Extraction en route to your position. Maya couldn't believe what she was hearing. Someone in command had been watching the entire operation, documenting the betrayal in real time. And Stephen's face went white. Colonel Martinez? But the orders came from a group of officers who are now under arrest for conspiracy, sabotage, and attempted murder of military personnel. Martinez's voice cut through his protests. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, your performance today has been exemplary under impossible circumstances. All 7 targets confirmed eliminated. Outstanding work, soldier. Maya felt a surge of vindication unlike anything she'd ever experienced. Not only had she completed an impossible mission under active sabotage, but someone in command had been documenting the conspiracy against her. Stevens and his co-conspirators were finished. The cover-up was exposed. Female snipers would no longer face systematic sabotage designed to make them fail and justify their removal from combat roles. NTHE extraction helicopter arrived 30 minutes later with Colonel Martinez aboard. As Maya climbed into the aircraft, Martinez handed her a file folder. Staff Sergeant, this contains documentation of systematic sabotage against female snipers across all combat units for the past 3 years. Your mission today and your performance under impossible conditions has provided the evidence we needed to prosecute an entire network of conspirators. Maya opened the folder and saw names she recognized. Commanders who had denied her support, equipment officers who had accidentally provided faulty gear, intelligence personnel who had given her incomplete mission briefings. It was a coordinated campaign to ensure that female snipers failed in combat, providing justification for their removal from combat roles permanently. How many women did they sabotage? Maya asked. Martinez's answer was devastating. 47 female snipers have been removed from combat duty over the past 3 years due to performance issues that were actually the result of deliberate sabotage. You're the first one to succeed despite their interference, and the first one to document their methods. Maya realized she hadn't just vindicated herself. She had vindicated every female sniper who had been branded as inadequate and removed from service. Stevens, now in restraints, spoke up. You think this changes anything? There will always be people who believe women don't belong in combat. This investigation won't change minds or attitudes. Maya looked at him directly. You're right, Stevens, but it will change policies, procedures, and consequences. And the next woman who earns her sniper tab won't have to face the same sabotage I did. NSIX months later, Maya stood before a congressional committee investigating discrimination in military combat roles. Her testimony, combined with the evidence gathered during her final mission, resulted in the court-martial of 17 military personnel and the implementation of new oversight procedures for all special operations training. The accidental equipment failures, missing support, and incomplete intelligence that had plagued female combat soldiers were now classified as potential sabotage requiring immediate investigation. Maya had been promoted to Sergeant First Class and assigned to train the next generation of military snipers, both male and female. Her final mission statistics became legendary in sniper schools: 7 enemy targets eliminated at extreme range, under active sabotage while under fire from both enemy forces and friendly airstrikes, with a traitorous spotter attempting to compromise the mission. It was the kind of performance that defined careers and inspired legends. NBUT Maya's greatest victory wasn't her promotion or her legendary shot record. It was the letter she received from Private Jessica Chen, the first female sniper to complete training without facing systematic sabotage. Sergeant Rodriguez, I graduated sniper school last week with the highest scores in my class. My equipment worked perfectly, my intelligence was complete, and my male teammates treated me as an equal. Thank you for making it possible for women like me to succeed based on merit instead of having to overcome deliberate sabotage. Maya kept that letter in her desk drawer, next to her Medal of Valor and her sniper qualification certificate. It reminded her that individual excellence could change entire systems, that one person's refusal to accept discrimination could create opportunities for hundreds of others. She had become more than the deadliest female sniper in military history. She had become the soldier who proved that gender had nothing to do with combat effectiveness and everything to do with training, skill, and determination. NTHE legacy that lives on. Maya's story became required reading at military academies and leadership schools. Not because of her shooting skills, though those were legendary, but because of her refusal to let sabotage define her capabilities. Her final mission demonstrated that excellence could overcome conspiracy, that documentation could defeat discrimination, and that individual courage could change institutional practices. NTHE Maya Rodriguez Protocol was implemented across all military combat training. Any equipment failure, intelligence gap, or support absence involving female personnel would trigger automatic investigation for potential sabotage. The days of accidental discrimination were over, replaced by accountability and transparency. Years later, when military historians wrote about the integration of women into combat roles, Maya's final mission would be cited as the turning point, the moment when institutional sabotage was exposed and eliminated, allowing merit-based evaluation to replace gender-based prejudice. Her 7 shots that day had eliminated more than enemy combatants. They had eliminated the systematic barriers that prevented qualified women from serving their country in combat roles. Maya Rodriguez didn't just vindicate herself that day on the Afghan mountainside. She vindicated every woman who had ever been told she wasn't strong enough, fast enough, or tough enough to serve alongside men in combat. She proved that the deadliest weapon on any battlefield isn't determined by gender. It's determined by skill, training, and an unwavering commitment to mission success. NHER legacy lives on in every female sniper who earns her qualification, knowing that her equipment will work, her intelligence will be complete, and her teammates will judge her by her performance rather than her gender. Maya Rodriguez, the sniper who took aim at discrimination and never missed.